Well, hello again, and welcome to another update. Lots to explain. First of all, a big apology for not updating sooner. There's been lots going on at home at the minute. You're probably not interested, but I'm in danger of redundancy at work, so that's been a bit of a problem, bit of a stress. And also my mum's got Alzheimer's disease, and she's been going through a bit of a bad time, which she's over it at the moment. So that's not too bad, but it's been it's meant that the layouts got pushed to the back somewhat, and on the layout I've actually had a lot of problems created by myself, partially through rushing and partially through some inexperience. So this update today was actually supposed to be the one after the next one about the railway, if you understand what I mean. But I ran into problems, and I thought, it's been such a long time, I really need to put something up. Partly because the last update, I think, was before I had 100 subscribers, and I couldn't believe it when I got 100 subscribers, and now it's nudging 140, I think, which is amazing, because you do this really as a sort of a diary thing. If anybody watches it or anybody comments, it's fantastic, and it's really great. So thank you very much for subscribing and your comments as well. And I'll try and keep the updates a bit more regular, but obviously lots happening at the moment. Anyway, that's my one of my fairly new purchases. It's the Class 20 from the NRM Locomotion shop at Shildon, which I really like. I love the Class 20s anyway, but it's a really nice model. But today's update really is about the ECoS controller, which I've had for a few months now, just never got round to talking about it much. I've been getting to grips with it. I know it's an extremely expensive piece of kit and not everyone can afford it. It was a bit of a stretch, to be honest, for a controller, but having used it for a while, I absolutely love it now. It does so much, basically. One of the things I'm going to show you today is how to get the display of your ECoS onto your computer monitor. You might already know about this. This is my basically my test bench, which is why I've got a little piece of track. I mean, it is a little piece of track. It's probably about a metre long. It gives us a chance to set up the locomotives with the ECoS, and also gives us a chance to play around with the ECoS and do the video editing and adjust the track if I need to with any rail. Anyway, today what I'm going to try and do is show you how to get the display of the ECoS, which is great, onto your monitor so it's nice and crisp and clear. And when we've done that, I'll hopefully show you some of the features of the ECoS, which I really like. So the first thing is you've got to connect your ECoS to your computer. Okay, now I have a bit of a problem in my connection because my layout, as you already know if you've been watching, is in the loft. Okay, just a quick once round the loft. There's the sky. It's a lovely sunny day. It was really cold in the northeast. It's very cold indeed. So we don't have any network connection up here, so what I did was, if I just move over, you can see that I bought this TP-Link wireless network connection, which is really fast and it's really good, and it does actually pick up the Wi-Fi signal. I was a bit worried about it picking up the Wi-Fi signal in the loft, but it does great, so that's good. So that's connected to the network, and what you have to do with the ECoS, you have to connect it using the RJ45 connector, which is a network connector you've seen on the back of computers all the time. It's a little square one. That's the thing with the red light there. That's the network connector. You connect a cable from there to your computer. Now what you normally do, if you look at the ECoS manual, it says you plug it into your router, which is the normal way of doing it. You would connect one end here, in the back of your ECoS, points with the stylus. That red light means it's connected, by the way. You might see every so often flash. That just shows there's data moving between the ECoS and the computer. So you connect this RJ Cat5 lead, RJ45 plug between there and your router, if you have access to your router. Now obviously I don't have access to a router, and the reason I don't have access to a router is because it's downstairs in another room, physically a long way away from here. So as I said, I use the wireless connection, which is this white USB connection, which goes to the TP link, gives me good Wi-Fi up here. So this network cable, this one, is connected to the RJ45 network socket on the back of my PC, as you can see. Now, because we have a direct connection between the computer and the ECoS, you have to use what's called a crossover cable. You don't really need to know why, just make sure if you're doing it this way you get a crossover cable. You can't connect, generally speaking, you can't connect a piece of equipment directly to the network port on your computer without a crossover cable. The usual route is to go into a switch or a router, you know, your home router. I hope I'm making myself clear, and also I hope I'm not too patronising if you already know all this, by the way. So that is a crossover cable. If you just look for a Cat5 crossover cable, that's what you need if you're going to do it this way. Okay, so that goes into the back of the computer. Right, so if you're doing it this way, my way, you need to set up the network connection on your computer. So you would go to the control panel, and then you would go to network and sharing center, and then here you can see it says change adapter settings. If you click this, it shows you your network adapters. Okay, so this one, where's my mouse going? So this one here is my network connection, a TP link connected to a BT hub downstairs. Nice, good, strong signal. And this is the one on the back of the computer, the local area connection. Okay, so if we right click and we click properties, it gives you the property sheet, and you want the one that says IP version 4, and then you click properties. Now, because I'm actually setting this up as a unique network directly from the computer to the ECoS, we're giving it a private network address, this IP address here. So what I'm going to do is set it at 192.168.1.1, subnet 255.255.255.0, and it doesn't matter about the default gateway. Okay, so that's the only bits you need to fill in is the IP. So this is the IP address of the computer. Okay, 192.168.1.1. Okay, so we'll close that. So that's the IP of the computer, of this particular network port on the back. So if we go to the ECoS now, and we go to settings, and on the settings list on setup 1 tab there is a little icon that says IP. Tap IP, and this is where you would put in your IP address. So the IP address of this is going to be 192.168.1.2. Can't be the same because there'd be a clash, but has to be on the same, within the same range. So 192.168.1.2, and the computer was 1.1, remember. The gateway is not important, and the net mask is the same as on the computer, 255.255.255.0. Okay, so enter those in, and then click the tick, and then you're good to go. Okay, so now they exist on the same network. Okay, so if we go back to the computer now, what we need is a piece of software called TightVNC, which is here on my computer. So it's free. Just go to just Google TightVNC and download it and install it. It's as simple as that. And then when you go to connect in the programs, there's a TightVNC viewer is what you need. This is the shortcut, TightVNC viewer. So double click that. In here where it says remote host, you put in the IP of the device you want to connect to, which is in this case the ECoS. So you put the IP in 192.168.1.2 and you click connect, and there you go. Ta-da! Just minimize that. That shows you exactly what's on the ECoS. It mirrors it. What you can do is, that's actually twice normal size. The resolution is not brilliant. This control here is 100%, so that's the actual size on my monitor. Obviously it depends on the resolution of your monitor, but that's just a bit small because it's basically the same size as the ECoS. So click plus and it'll double the size. and that gives you a brilliant view of everything on your ECoS. So now you can actually control your locomotives from your mouse and your computer because it works the same. So this particular locomotive, a Class 20, is already entered in, and these icons down the side, they are assignable. I'll show you how to do that. And if I can just angle this correctly, I don't know if I can, but tilt that a little. Is that a bit awkward for you? Actually, what I'll do is if I move that down, of course, see these icons down the side are assignable to the different sounds. So I've got 12 sounds on my Class 20. So if I can just show you the front of the Class 20 there. Okay, can you see that? Yes, you can. This one is the lights, so if I click this, so the lights come on, and that's from the computer. And obviously if we go back to the control panel, and likewise if I turn the lights off on the control panel, that's reflected in the computer display. Okay, so the lights are off. So I'll put them on again using the mouse. This is very difficult. I should have got this, thought about this before. There we go. So the lights are on, and if we change direction, the lights will change from white to red. Yes, there we go. And obviously the sounds work the same. So there's the whistle, wheel flange squeal, and this one is start the engine. So I'll show you how we add these individual unique logos, icons. That's the word I was looking for. So click the spanner, edit logo. There we go. So these are the properties of this particular logo. Okay, the Class 20. You can add an image here, as it says there. You can decide what protocol it is. Obviously 128 gives you the best control if your decoder is up to it. That's the address. Okay, and then if we click properties, these are the functions. Now when you first add a loco, all these function buttons are on the default position, which is the F there, you see. So you basically work out what your functions are, what sounds they are, and then you click the drop down box. So the first one is always lights on the ECoS. So basically you would go down and click on the light. It's as simple as that. It's fairly self-explanatory. If I move along here, there's the flange squeal. So you can click that and you just scroll down your list and add your flange squeal. Simple as that. And you can also set the effects to permanent or momentary, depending on what sort of effect it is. So it's very good. What would be even better, in my opinion, is if you could customize these icons. So there's a whistle, different types of whistle, and a bell. If you could actually add your own, that would be fantastic. And perhaps one day they might get around to doing that. I know from looking at the forums that it's been requested, but I'm not sure if they're going to do it or not. This don't seem very quick to respond to requests. It might not be doable. I don't know. Okay, so that's how you edit the logo, and then you would click right to the logo here, and then when you're done, you click the tick. Okay, so this is the display. If I wanted to add another logo on the same track, you just click select, choose what you want. I've got the Thomas Hardy, which doesn't look like that German train. Just I haven't uploaded the icon yet, the picture for it. And then you have two controls. Okay, but it's great for setting things up, like for assigning the functions and things like that. So if I just get rid of this one, release controller, Okay, so what I've also done is added my track plan. So I'm just going to switch to show you the track plan, just as a reminder, on any rail. So this is the very complicated, very foolishly complicated station area here. So this is what it looks like, and what you need to do now, obviously, because I'm using point mortars, is to get this plan somehow representatively into the ECoS, which turned out to be a lot harder than I thought. So what I actually did was I did a mock-up on Microsoft Publisher. The ECoS grid is 22 by 11 squares, 22 squares along, 11 squares down, which isn't very big really. So what I did is I made a square box, a rectangle, and then divided it up so I could fit in 22 by 11, and I devised a square, these squares which represent the icons. So that's part of going around the corner. That one, that's a straight, obviously. That one there is a three-way point. So I devised these icons, and I worked out it was much easier to move these tiles around in Publisher than to keep doing it and undoing it in the ECoS, because it took absolutely ages in the ECoS. So it took me a lot of attempts in Publisher to get a rough approximation, and then I had to transfer it to the ECoS. So if we go back to the ECoS, this is this icon here is the one for the track plan. This one here is how you set up all your points, but the track plan is here, and this is what I eventually came up with. So this is what I eventually came up with. It's just a stylized representation of the track plan. So once again, there's the track plan. But what I discovered is the ECoS doesn't do diagonals very well. So you couldn't have, for example, looking at the goods line here, this diagonal across the top of the platform, which is elevated. I couldn't actually do that way, because ECoS doesn't have the capability, basically, so it has to go straight. But you have to make compromises, but everything else I did manage to get in. So that siding there is this siding here. That point system here is this system here. And there's one of the platforms, and there's another platform. This piece is the through section. That's a double slip. That's another double slip corresponding to, I'll move that over, corresponding to that one there. That one there is that one there. Okay. And that one there is that one there. Hope that makes sense. Okay, so what you do with the ECoS is when a track goes off the page, you need to start another page. So this branch line here, the dotted section, is actually underneath. It's going to go eventually, in the future, it's going to go to storage siding. So that's represented by this line here, which will go in under the bridge and then to storage siding. So if you click this is actually some sort of hyperlink, and it takes you to another page, which obviously I haven't put on yet, but that will be the storage area, and that clicking there takes you back. Train storage, as it says there. This is the main station area. Oops, didn't mean to do that. And likewise over here, I'll just move that. This part of the goods line, sorry, the branch line that goes round here is represented by this, which I haven't actually drawn on. Okay, so that's actually duplicated there. That point is that point, yes? Well, that makes sense. So the branch line will effectively be separate, have its own separate page. Okay, oops. So if we go back. Okay, so it was rather complicated to do, but I did manage to squeeze quite a bit into one quite small page, 22 squares by 11 squares, as I said. Right, that's just about it for this one. As I said, this one was supposed to be the one after the next one, but I've got problems with the track, which I shall explain. So we'll hopefully get back to that one very soon when it's edited. So we'll switch the engine on. And many thanks for subscribing and watching. I can't believe how many people have subscribed, and I very much appreciate it. And I'll see you next time.